As the fighting intensifies in the Middle East, there are growing concerns of increased attacks on the Jewish communities around the world. In fact, the Anti-Defamation League has been logging such attacks since last weekend and is reporting more than a dozen incidents over the past 7 days. Joining me on set is Jonathan Greenblatt, the CEO and the National Director of the ADL. Jonathan, it's always so good to see you. I hate that we get together, especially under circumstances like this. Before we started this segment, we were having a really blunt conversation about what your concerns are about this ground offensive and what type of kind of ripple effect you think it's going to have. Talk about it.
Well, we know that incidents in the Middle East where Israel's involved in fighting Hezbollah or Hamas or any of these terror groups tend to prompt anti-Semitism in the United States and around the world. Synagogues, kosher restaurants, Jewish community centers, schools, just ordinary people tend to become targets, and they're victimized when people see the images or hear the stories and see Jews, if you will, as a soft target. So already we've seen in the past week, we have seen some really awful things in the United States, as you reported. We've seen dozens of incidents where, again, individuals, synagogues, homes have been vandalized, people have been harassed. We've seen around the world, in France, in the first 48 hours after the attack, there were 1,000 reported anti-Semitic incidents. In the UK, we saw a 400% increase in the 4 days after the attack. And yesterday in Germany, there were apartment buildings in Berlin with a large concentration of Jewish residents that had Stars of David spray painted outside the buildings.
In Germany?
Yeah, I've got reports coming in this morning of 4 different buildings, again, where there's a large concentration of Jewish residents, and they're sort of being tagged and identified. Now, look, we know that Hezbollah has reportedly had sleeper agents. There have been Hezbollah's people arrested in the UK, in this country. We know Iranian nationals have been arrested for surveilling Jewish sites, again, like offices and synagogues in Los Angeles, in Chicago, in New York in recent years. And we know, Iran is the largest state sponsor of terror. They use terror to advance their agenda. If you look at the bus attack on Israeli tourists in Bulgaria a few years ago, if you look at Argentina, where they blew up a Jewish community center and a Jewish school, this is what they do. And so just this past Friday, the head of Hamas, who, by the way, isn't in Gaza City, but resides comfortably in a villa in Qatar, he called for a global day of jihad. I got dozens and dozens of calls on Wednesday and Thursday from Jewish people who said, should I send my child to school? Should I stay home all day? Now, I want to think about this for a minute. He called for a global day of jihad. That's what he said in Arabic. It was translated in English as day of rage. So right there, you're sort of diminishing it, because he's trying to religify, if you will, the conflict, make it about Islam versus Judaism, say all Jews are targets. But wouldn't you think that a call like this would draw worldwide condemnation? Wouldn't you think that leaders, not Jewish leaders, governors and mayors and just people in positions of authority would say, this is wrong. You can't stage a global day of jihad against Jewish people everywhere. Katie, it got almost no coverage. It got almost no attention. Can you imagine a world in which someone would say a global war on Catholics, a global war on Protestants, a global war on Muslims, attack Muslims wherever they should be? So it's very worrisome to me that terror and anti-Semitism is being used to prosecute this conflict right here at home.